Bells are being sounded about Eskom's plan to get 3 units at Kusile coal power station back into operation. The utility wants to bypass pollution control measures by building a temporary stack over the next 7 to 8 months. This while it repairs the permanent stack, which collapsed in October last year. Experts are warning of possible unabated sulfur dioxide pollution. Brendan Abdinor from the Center for Environmental Rights joins me now to discuss this further. Brendan, good afternoon. Happy Freedom Day to you. Welcome to today here on eNCA this afternoon. So what is likely to happen in your view if this plan by Eskom proceeds?
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the listeners, and all the best for Freedom Day. So what is definitely going to happen is that the sulfur dioxide that is supposed to be captured by the pollution control or flue gas desulfurization equipment will now be left unabated and will go into the atmosphere and affect communities around and people living proximate to Kusile.
But if you listen to Eskom and they tell us how much capacity in terms of megawatts we need on our grid as we go into the winter, as we go forward, what alternatives do you think they could adopt? Because currently doesn't look like there is much alternative. We've been harboring under stages 5 and 6 for most of the last month of power cuts.
It's definitely a very difficult situation, and we certainly understand that load shedding causes a lot of harm as well. So what we now have is a situation where we need to, or the decision makers are supposed to choose between this bringing more capacity onto the grid and virtually the certain death of people around the area as a result of the sulfur dioxide emissions. We've seen modeling that suggests if Kusile runs for the intended period with on the bypass, up to 700 people are likely to die as a result of that. And the social costs to the health are around 16 billion rand. So Eskom is claiming that they can alleviate 2 stages of load shedding by doing this. And they're counting on the fact that those 3 units will deliver the 2,000 megawatts that they're supposed to. But at the same time, up until the failure of the stack, it was running at around 39% of that. So one has to question those claims. And it's this very lack of information that really makes it difficult to look at what the alternatives should be fully. There's a cost-benefit analysis needs to be done. And we haven't seen enough information to know that that is, in fact, the right way to go. There are the costs of the temporary repair, the permanent repair, the health costs, all of these costs which get externalized, and communities in the area actually have to bear the brunt, and their lives and livelihoods are wrecked. So we need that information to really make an assessment. Alternatives like renewable energy are the fastest, cheapest and cleanest way of getting new capacity onto the grid. So we don't know if perhaps that money wouldn't be better spent on something like that. And that is why we need the information. That is why we need proper consultation. That is why if we're going to be sacrificing people for more electricity, we need to be consulting with them fully so that the impacts can be understood by them and measures can be taken to alleviate the impacts.
Yeah, how do you respond to the following, that even developed countries like Germany are now turning to coal to try and get energy? I mean, there's an energy crisis in many countries across the world as we speak, and that the options for a country like South Africa, a low-income country like South Africa, are really, really small. We're still not there yet. We don't even know by when we'll have all these renewable sources of energy come on stream. I mean, we need the coal.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to note that what is happening in countries like Germany, for example, and it's already apparent how the conflict in the Ukraine has created an energy crisis. The countries like that obviously scrambled to do whatever they needed to alleviate that. And there was a bit of an increase in coal last year for a country like Germany, which has already started declining. And the International Energy Agency, among others, can confirm that. This thing that we need coal, and that is the best way forward, is something that is really quite a myth that is exploited by those who are interested. The renewables are quicker and cheaper that it's less susceptible to breakdown. It's a simpler technology, and it's less susceptible to corruption. There's not a fuel that needs to go into that. So we're not looking at a big supply chain. And unfortunately, the missed opportunity here, if we don't go that route as well, is that really embracing renewables and going strongly gives us a strong opportunity for local industrialization and the creation of much needed jobs and economic growth in a manner and in a business that is not going to kill people.
Yeah. So what action can be taken to make Eskom find another alternative or not go this route, which you will say is likely to kill people?
Well, for a start, I think Eskom must provide all of the information so that we can do that cost-benefit analysis. Eskom said they are now going to do a health impact assessment, which they weren't initially going to do, and we'd like to see that and compare that to the information that we have at hand. And then should the decision makers decide that that needs to be done, which would be, as I say, it's a terribly difficult situation, then at least Eskom can undertake and should undertake meaningful mitigation measures. We've looked at best practices in other places. People can, mobile clinics, community air monitoring, maybe a compensation fund. If we're going to ask people to sacrifice themselves, we could look after them at least.
Okay, so there could be some mitigation and compensation. We'll have to wait and see what Eskom will do and when they hear the environmental concerns. Thank you very much, Brendan Abdinor from the Center for Environmental Rights. More news.